Meantime, this morning, the president is pitching possible locations for his meeting with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. That meeting could happen, according to the president, in 3 to 4 weeks.
This is the statement the president just put out on Twitter. He writes, numerous countries are being considered for the meeting, all caps. But would Peace House, Freedom House on the border of North and South Korea be a more representative, important, and lasting site than a third-party country? Just asking. CNN's Paula Hancock's live in Seoul watching all of this for us, maybe putting it up to a plebiscite. Paula, asking the American people where they want this meeting.
Absolutely. I mean, it's certainly possible that the meeting would be at the DMZ, especially after what you saw last Friday, that picture-perfect, made-for-TV moment that was the summit between the North Korean leader and the South Korean president. So clearly, President Trump has been watching that. And we also have more details about that meeting from last Friday. We're hearing from the Blue House that Kim Jong-un has said that he is going to shut down the North Korean nuclear facility, which is in Punggye-ri. This is the testing site where all 6 tests have been carried out. And he said he's going to do that in May. Now, bearing in mind May starts tomorrow, that could be quite soon. He's going to invite experts and journalists, he says, from the US and from South Korea, so that there is complete transparency. He also rejected reports that that site has become obsolete because it collapsed, saying there are actually 2 tunnels there that nobody knew about, and they're in very good condition, but he's still going to shut that down. Also, according to the Blue House, Kim Jong-un said that he's not the kind of person who would launch a nuclear missile against the United States. So we're seeing a very different Kim Jong-un here, because clearly that is what North Korea was threatening just a matter of months ago.
Paula, thank you very much for reporting for us from Seoul. Let's talk about this big picture. Our global affairs analyst, Kimberly Dozier, joins us now. Good to see you, Kim. Look, you have some at least verbal concessions from Kim Jong-un saying they will shut down the nuclear test site in May. On Friday, he said, as Paula just reiterated to President Moon, look, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to shoot a nuclear weapon. He's also not the kind of guy that you just take his word for it. So at this point, before this meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, what guarantees are necessary?
At this point, there are no guarantees in place, and everyone I've spoken to who has negotiated these types of deals in the past say, show me. Now, the good thing is, walking into this, you do have the president meeting Kim Jong-un, if all goes well. And it really is only at that level that these kind of decisions can be made on the North Korean side. Whereas in other arms deals, you would have a lot of lower level officials meeting together to decide on the deal before the 2 leaders meet. So it actually does make a lot of sense in the North Korean context in terms of who has the right and responsibility to make these kind of calls. But multiple times in the past, in the Bush administration, again in the Obama administration, it looked like you had a deal and then somebody did something to lose the trust of the other side. So at this point, the questions will be, what facilities will international inspectors have access to? Will they have continuing access? What has to be destroyed in terms of North Korea's capability before the U.S. and the international community accept this as a real deal and step down sanctions?
So National Security Advisor John Bolton, he has a very interesting model. He says there is a historical precedent we can point to learn from here. And he says it's Libya. Listen to him.
We have very much in mind the Libya model from 2003, 2004. There are obviously differences. The Libyan program was much smaller, but that was basically the agreement that we made.
If you're Kim Jong-un and the Libyan model is what this is based on, you got to be sitting there thinking, I'm not so sure I want this. Muammar Gaddafi ended up dead.
Exactly. It didn't work out too well for him. So the difference in this situation is that North Korea also has China as a guarantor. It has warming relations with South Korea. In a sense, what Kim Jong-un is managing to do is get the momentum for get people hopeful for possibilities that almost get them out over their skis. So it's hard to stop.
Right.
But so the ball is almost in the U.S. court, but it's also going to be could be blamed on Trump if this fails.
That is a great point, Kim, and it's what we wanted to ask you next, which is, does this peaceful rhetoric, this sort of kumbaya almost, if you will, these images out of the meeting between President Moon and Kim Jong-un box President Trump in, meaning after that, how can President Trump really go back to fire and fury, little rocket man, my button is bigger than yours?
Exactly. It's almost like one of those little woven finger traps, like the closer, more you get in, when you try to pull out, the tighter it's going to get.
Right.
It's going to be tougher for the U.S. to use the threat of military action. And it's also possible that because of the South Korean party on the ground that is in power and their propensity towards unification with the North, that they will be able to be convinced and convince their own people that this is better than always having the threat of multiple artillery shells raining down on us from the North.